All right, continuing on with the eccentric focus, we're going to focus on explosive eccentrics. And explosive eccentrics is all about one thing, it's force absorption. And if you're playing sports, the capacity to absorb force is at least as important as the capacity to produce force to either project yourself forward or overcome a resistance, right? Because in most sports, you will have to absorb force before producing force. And even if you're just talking about changing direction or sprinting, when your foot hits the floor, that's force absorption. The better you are at absorbing force, the more efficient you'll be at turning that absorption into projection, okay? So that's something you really want to train. Now, one way of doing that is with either depth jumps or altitude drops or combined altitude drops. Let's start with the depth jump, which you might be more familiar with. Depth jump was invented in 1967-ish by Yuri Verkhoshansky, and it basically consists of standing onto a box and then stepping off the box, absorbing your force when you land, and then jumping as high as possible. Now, there are many ways of teaching the depth jumps. Some recommend spending as little time as possible on the floor. Imagine the floor is hot lava. That's certainly one way, okay? But that's not the way to maximize power production. That's a good way to develop reflexive strength, okay, reactive strength. The capacity just to rebound out of force absorption, but it will not lead to maximum force production. What we want, if you want to maximize power output, is to only have the cue. Upon landing, jump as high as possible, okay? Your brain will fill in the gap. You really have up to 2 seconds to take advantage of the stretch reflex that you will trigger while landing, okay? Now, the height of the box is really important. Now, the box, it would normally be higher than that, but I'm not warmed up, and anyway. So the box needs to be slightly higher, or at least the same height as your maximum vertical jump. So for example, if your maximum vertical jump is 30 inches, the box needs to be at least 30 inches. Why? Because if it's lower than that, it does not constitute an overload. Because every time you do a regular jump, you are landing from that 30-inch height, right? So if you want to create an overload, which is what we want, absorbing more force than you normally have in a regular jump, okay, both to force adaptations and also to create a greater stretch reflex response, then you want a box that is anywhere from the height of your vertical jump up to 10 to 20 centimeters higher depending on your level, okay? So that's the height of the box. Now, I mentioned you need to step off the box. A mistake done with depth jumps is people will jump off the box, okay? That's a mistake. First, because by jumping off, you cannot control the height of the drop. You cannot standardize the height of the drop. Whereas if I'm just stepping off, I am stepping off from 30 inches. Whereas if I'm jumping, I might be landing from 34, 35, 33, 31, depending on the jump, it's never the same. So it's kind of hard to standardize progression, right? Second, what you want is upon landing, you want your legs to be as relaxed as possible. You want your core to be tight. That combination of elastic and relaxed and tight here create a better force absorption, because what happens is you're landing on a hard surface and your abs are another hard surface. This is more relaxed, so it absorbs all that potential energy like a rubber band or like a rubber ball, okay? That's what you want. If I'm jumping off, the act of jumping creates muscle tension. So it's very hard to go from producing tension when jumping off to fully relaxing while you're dropping. And as a result, when you're landing, this is a bit too hard. And this might be too soft. And you get the opposite effect. You have dissipation of stored energy. So it's just really in a box with 1 foot, step off, land. So that would be the first phase, okay? Then upon landing, you would jump up as high as humanly possible. You have up to 2 seconds, but don't try to stay down too long. Don't try to stay down for as short as possible. Just, I'm trying to jump as high as possible. That's all you want. So key points, box, anywhere between the height of your maximum vert up to 20 centimeters higher than your vert, okay? Step off the box, This is tight, this is relaxed, it's elastic, and upon landing, only focus on jumping as high as possible, okay? Now, when it comes to sets and reps, Verkhoshansky's original recommendation used as high as 10 reps. I don't like that. I personally prefer, as with any exercise aimed at maximum power production, we shoot for 3 to 5 reps, just to make sure there's no speed decrease from rep to rep, okay? Because strength is gained in a velocity-specific way. So if it slows down too much, you kind of lose the training effect. So I like to do between 3 and 5 sets of 3 and 5 reps, once or twice a week. Don't overdo this. Now, also from a frequency, twice a week is good, but from a duration of application. It's a method you should not apply for more than 4 weeks in a row, okay? It will lead to significant improvements in power output in as little as 2 or 3 weeks. But after 4 weeks, there's a lot less results from a lot more work and a lot more injury risk. So it's something that should be done when you want a quick rise in power. So for example, you have physical tests, you want to maximize your power. You would do that 5 weeks before, and then you take 1 week off before to be able to fully recover and restore your functional capacities. So that would be your depth jump.